You can only play one game for the rest of your life. Which one do you choose? If your first response was to panic and not really know what to say, I wouldn't blame you. When faced with a plethora of titles, it becomes harder to pick this game over that game. For me, that choice is more simple. Animal Crossing New Horizons is not just the game I play the most. It brings a smile to my face and delights me with new things to discover even 3 years after its release. With over 1,000 hours in game, I can definitely say it's my favourite. So why is Animal Crossing different from any other type of game? What makes me pick this one over any other cozy game? I thought I would take a look back on my time with New Horizons, talk about why it's my favourite, and why it probably won't be replaced anytime soon. If you've lived under a rock or are confused on what New Horizons is, I'll really quickly explain. It's a social simulation game with sandbox elements. The story here is that Tom Nook is looking for players to move to a deserted island, and you are tasked with building out the island and forming a community with your neighbours to ensure the success of your island. There's no real endpoint and there's no story arc to follow. Outside of getting a 3-star island and KK Slider performing for the first time, Tom Nook doesn't tell you what to do. You get taught the basic mechanics of how to interact with your neighbours, gathering resources and crafting items, but as a player, it is up to you to define how you want to spend your time in-game. The openness of this means players have freedom to choose what they want to focus on and can define their own end goal, whether that's earning villager photos, getting a 5-star island, or cataloguing every item in the game. These goals aren't set in stone and can change over time, so you can enjoy the island experience in whatever way you would like. The flexibility in how you approach New Horizons is replicated in some other titles, but I find there are fewer options as truly open-ended. Disney Dreamlight Valley is a game I would describe as semi-open-ended. It's more story and quest driven than Animal Crossing, and that directly impacts how you play the game. Instead of finding myself wanting to decorate the valley, I'm beholden to the requests of characters that are wandering around. Go find this thing to give that person because they have an item which I need to craft this particular thing, and that will allow you to understand the story. It doesn't feel like I'm making progress if I'm having to constantly double back to find one character or another, and that's not unique to Dreamlight Valley. The quest mechanic is used in basically every game, but trying to keep tabs of everything in a game with social interactions at its heart makes me less likely to finish it because, at some point, I become less interested in the story overall. I end up skipping all the dialogue menus so I can finish up whatever fetch request I need to in order to go back to the slower paced nature of New Horizons. There is a small amount of questing you have to do in New Horizons, which is right at the start of the game, and that forms the tutorial to explain the game's mechanics to new players. Outside of these opening moments, the only questing you really receive is when a villager asks you to deliver a present. These moments don't happen often, and because they're less frequent, when a villager does ask for help, I'm more inclined to do so. When questing is front and centre in a game, like it is in DDV, my focus is on rattling through everything I need to do so I can go back to my island and focus on the relationships I have with anthropomorphic animals, rather than continuing to work on some long drawn-out quest line. There's nothing wrong with questing, it's just not a format I like all that much. When faced with the option to have more open-ended gameplay, I'm going to be picking the one that allows for better flexibility. Some are drawn to the lore that DDV has and how it adds depth into the Disney universe in a new and interesting way, and I can totally understand that as we don't really have that with New Horizons. But to me, it's more of a detractor from the game itself and pushes me back into games I find more comfort in that provide me with better options for how I like to complete a game. By reducing the amount of questing I have to do, I'm far more likely to be drawn into the game itself. New Horizons is one of the most relaxing games I've ever played. Given how I can adapt the gameplay to fit my style, these two possibly go hand in hand. I don't get hounded by a villager asking me to do a task, and Tom Nook isn't exactly berating me for not paying my home loans if I've decided to ignore him for a year. Animal Crossing is supposed to be played one day at a time. I love this because I end up looking forward to the next day when I can receive the rewards of my actions. I recently caught the last bug I needed to fill out my Critterpedia, which unlocked the golden net. Whilst I celebrated in the moment, I loved the delayed gratification of earning the reward for 3 years of catching insects. It was a wonderful way for me to start the next day with a tool I worked hard to get. This day-by-day playstyle is less common in cozy games. It is there in Dreamlight Valley, but I find it to be more of a nuisance when I'm trying to finish quests, and I don't have another reason to play the game because I'm not decorating the valley. Both games use a world clock over an in-game one, but the biggest difference between them comes down to the rush pace I feel DDV has. Gameloft created Dreamlight Valley with mini-seasons in mind, so we have timed events where you can earn rewards for completing tasks in-game. The star paths are there to reward players with in-game items to clothe yourself, outfit your residence, or place in the valley. These events are time sensitive and last around a real-world month or two. Whilst the length of the event isn't necessarily a problem, the issue I have is my response to timed events: panic and FOMO. When faced with the limited amount of time to get exclusive items, I feel panicked and want to complete the path and character quests as soon as possible. This results in me spending about a week working through every single task until I reach a point where I have to wait until the next day to do more. By the time that next day comes, I don't want to play the game anymore. I don't like to be rushed, and not having the exclusive content for decorating makes me uneasy. Because of how intense that week is, when it is finally done, all I want is a comfy blanket and my Switch so I can spend time with my island residents. I have no interest in going back to Dreamlight Valley as a result of that intensity, and it actively pushes me back into the slower paced nature and comfort of Animal Crossing New Horizons. The only example of time sensitivity we have in ACNH is the seasonal recipes and materials, the most notable of which is the beloved Cherry Blossom season. The collection of craftable recipes is only available for 10 days in April, so players are often left scrambling to catch as many petals as possible or popping balloons to find those elusive recipes within a limited time window. For day-to-day players, this can cause anxiety as you can still miss out on rewards if you have other commitments. I tend to hear complaints about seasonal items and materials less often now than I did in the early days, and I think that's because of the availability of treasure islands and being able to time travel without major consequence to your game. If you time travel in the likes of Disney Dreamlight Valley, you run the risk of breaking your save file, so there is no incentive for players to try these methods. Subsequently, you're more likely to miss out on timed exclusive items due to the limitations placed on players and their games. Even Stardew Valley, which runs on an in-game clock rather than a world clock, has its own seasons and events where you have to collect resources to get the most out of it. Events are limited to being held on a specific in-game day, which isn't fundamentally a problem. It's fairly straightforward to get to the event in question. But I find myself in a position where, like DDV, I either have nothing to do before the event or star path itself, or I just want to skip it. This often means I sleep through multiple days just so I can make progress on my farm, defeating the point of actually preparing for the event and enjoying the game itself. New Horizons treats its events differently. Because of the world clock, you have time to relax and plan out what you want to do. Unlike Stardew Valley, where the way you leave the farm affects if you attend or not, ACNH events are held on the plaza, and you can choose not to participate by simply ignoring the NPC hosting the event. Having this be an option while still being able to live out my island life makes the events themselves seem more appealing. When you decide to complete events, they are well thought out and intentionally placed to feel like proper celebrations in the calendar because they're timed to real-world celebrations. There is no major preparation for any event outside of Bunny Day and Turkey Day, with the resources needed for these being easily sourced through normal gameplay on the day itself. I'm not worried about trying to finish a build just to prepare for an event, as the preparation is a natural component of my daily gameplay. With Stardew, it feels more like a chore, as I have to save resources ahead of some events and make notes about which items I require in order to succeed at the next Winterfest. The level of prep needed for this interrupts my gameplay and takes me away from creating a fully functioning farm, so I enjoy the events less or avoid them completely, whereas I don't have that same issue in New Horizons. I have time to think about the next fishing tourney or bug off and think about how I want to approach the event itself, making it more likely that I will get involved in celebrating with my villagers or friends online, and that makes each event feel more special. If you ever need a creative outlet, New Horizons can do that for you. And the community really comes together when it comes to designing and building islands. For new players to the franchise, they may have revealed a creative itch they didn't know they needed to scratch until given the seemingly unlimited possibilities of New Horizons in comparison to New Leaf. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed New Leaf, but lacking my own creativity and having no understanding of the forward planning you needed to do when it came to placing homes meant I soon had a town I couldn't decorate. The result of this was that my 3DS went into hibernation and I stopped playing altogether. New Horizons was a completely different decorating experience. When I became dissatisfied with my island, I turned to the community to learn how to get the forest I wanted. From decorating tutorials, moodboard streams, and DA tours, I was able to learn new ways of using items that I never thought possible. There's not one sole person who educated me in designing. It was a community effort that got me to the point I'm at now. I have a 5-star island I'm proud of, and I'm designing other islands in themes I would have never considered exploring before. Every day there are new ideas shared, new islands to explore, and interesting themes being developed that show the level of talent and creativity the game can offer players. And this helps everyone improve their design skills overall. Animal Crossing New Horizons is fairly uniquely placed to provide that community support for decorating. There are examples within the Sims community where you have creators who just build houses, but even these have limitations which aren't able to convey the level of detail and style you can get within New Horizons. The different packs in The Sims offer a range of items to help you design a home overall, but if you don't have access to these, the base game results in a sameness to all houses. This isn't as prevalent in New Horizons. We have items that are designed to fit a particular theme, like the Dreamy toys fit into Kidcore, but the majority of items are flexible and are being used by the community to dabble in different themes. This means we can create islands that look truly unique despite sitting within a particular theme. The Sims is more limited in this because items are typically designed for a particular theme, and that fits with the pack itself. This makes it harder to use items in worlds that don't exactly fit that theme. Ultimately, a country kitchen doesn't easily fit into the surroundings of a desert oasis unless you're trying to tell a particular story with the Sims you're playing. This makes it harder for me to want to continue to decorate in The Sims because I'm not able to explore themes in the same level of detail. When the community does ask for more flexible items, they're released as DLCs rather than being available to all players, only further highlighting the discrepancies between the base game and those with some or all of the DLC. Because every item is available to all players in New Horizons, it makes it easier to decorate. You don't need to buy additional content to get a water jug, you just need clay to craft it. With the versatility and the ability to customize items in New Horizons, it's never been easier to create stunning builds within an AC game, and the community only continues to facilitate that by sharing their builds and explaining their design process to newer players so everyone has a better experience overall. The biggest reason why I keep playing Animal Crossing is the community we have. There was online play and a community for New Leaf, but it was much smaller than we have for New Horizons. The variety of people we see playing the game, I believe, is impacted greatly by the effect of 2020, and that had a net positive effect on New Horizons. It helped bring in a far greater audience than I think Nintendo was expecting, and the sales numbers point to that wider reach as well. This means more people are playing the game for longer, so it's no surprise I'm not the only one still invested in New Horizons 3 years after its release. There have been more creators jumping into the world of AC and sharing their games with their audience. There have been more designers working with the expanded custom code tools to create new clothing and pathing options, and there are more casual gamers who are discovering gaming possibly for the first time with the easy-to-understand nature that New Horizons has. People are coming into the community and discovering a plethora of ideas which can enhance their island design or teach them new mechanics about their game. This knowledge sharing forms the backbone of a community, and within AC, there's always something to learn from the various live streams and videos or just browsing Pinterest for ideas for the next build. Outside of learning, players are pushing the boundaries of the game itself by introducing new challenges and gameplay to keep it new and exciting for everyone. We've had maze competitions, villager hunting competitions, and scavenger hunts to show how creators play their games. There are even decorating rule sets to challenge people to finish islands within 30 days. and there have been gameplay limitations with the introduction of the hard mode challenge. Since the last major update, I've seen repeated comments online that Animal Crossing is a dead game. It is true that Nintendo pulled the plug on updates to the game when they released 2.0, but the community is still working to keep the game alive with these new and interesting gameplay styles, and that is bringing new and old players back into the game we all enjoy. Creators large and small are still playing New Horizons and sharing their islands with their audience, and those who may not make content still finishing islands and sharing their dream addresses to inspire the next build. There really is truly something for everyone within this space, and I don't think there is a stronger community that is filled with positivity than that within New Horizons. The only other community I see as active as New Horizons is that around The Sims, and whilst there are stunning builds and Sims being created for the game with players talking and sharing about their ideas online, I feel a sadness there. There are a lot of complaints about new packs and updates being bugged or save states being corrupted, so players are losing their progress. This group loss seems to be leading to some in the Sims community to anxiously wait on small indie alternatives that may better suit their needs. I feel blessed and fortunate that New Horizons never had those issues. Yes, there are things that bug us all about the game, but the things we're missing out on are small and rather inconsequential in the grand scheme of it all. We don't have a glitchy experience with New Horizons. When the 2.0 update was announced and Happy Home Paradise was confirmed, it was a genuine extension to the game which made sense. We could decorate outdoors, but interiors were previously left behind. Players wanted more decorating, and HHP provided that. I don't think there's been an AC player I've met who said they weren't going to buy the DLC or complained about how it was implemented. Expanding the decorating playstyle to players only added to the New Horizons experience, and there weren't any bugs that affected the base game or save files. So when it was released, we all had fun. We even got an entirely new set of creator codes to share with others, which brings in a new community of people who are obsessed with interiors but may have less of an interest in exterior decorating. It brought new and old players back into the game, and it's exciting to see the community thrive since then. I won't go into too much detail on EA's practices with the Sims community. There are many online who have already discussed these issues. The biggest thing to take away from the complaints is that content is essentially broken down versions of previous packs, and they are being sold separately at full price. This results in players having to pay multiple times to have a complete game, and that is detrimental to the player base. Cottage Living is a farming-based pack which allows you the ability to raise your favourite farm animals: cows, chickens, and llamas, the most well-known of all farm animals. Fast forward a couple of years, and EA has launched the Horse Ranch expansion featuring horses and sheep. If you want to play a farming story, your game seemingly wouldn't be complete without both of these, as horses and sheep are found on farms along with the other animals in Cottage Living. With the game now costing well over $1,000 to have access to a complete game, it's understandable the community is looking at alternative titles which may provide a better life simulation experience than the one they're currently paying for. Having an incomplete experience and paying for it is a major talking point in the community, and when content is launched in a buggy or broken state, it doesn't make the player experience a great one. So it makes sense that players look at other games that have a similar playstyle to the one they have with The Sims. The natural extension of that for me is New Horizons. Even though there's no more planned DLC for New Horizons, I'm perfectly fine with this. I feel like my game is complete and can be enjoyed in whatever way I want. If I don't have content for The Sims, I lose out on being able to download some creations from the gallery, or if I'm telling a story with a family, I'm missing out on adding depth to the story because content that would enhance my gameplay is locked behind another paywall. There are no issues like this with New Horizons because we have a complete game with no overlapping features between the core game and the DLC. So I'm far more likely to go back to New Horizons because my playstyle is best suited to that sort of game, and the content I have is able to meet those needs. I don't have to worry about missing out on a particular item that would perfectly finish a build because I have access to all the items from the get-go. I just need to get them from ordering via Nook Shopping or Wardle, waiting on Nook's Cranny, or using a Treasure Island before completing the next build. but I can also just chill with my villagers and spend the night fishing if I would like. Is New Horizons the perfect game? No. It's impossible to hold any game to a perfect standard. We may complain about things like the lack of bulk crafting or golden tools breaking, but to me, these quirks just add to the charm. Yes, I would love an extra row of pockets so I can hold a few extra items for decorating, but it wouldn't improve my experience and it doesn't put me off playing the game. It's like a friend who doesn't like cheese. You may not understand why they don't enjoy brie from a cheese board, but you don't get into an argument over it, and you don't love your friend any less because they don't understand your way of thinking. Like any relationship, the reminder of these small hiccups in the game doesn't bother me, and they don't affect my love of ACNH overall. As a community, we share the good moments, console each other in the frustrations, and extend the fun to others to bring other people into the game we love so dearly. For all the delights the game has given me and all the amazing and talented community members I've met who have helped me discover my creativity, New Horizons deserves to be recognised as my favourite game. We may be past its heyday with players now moving on to other games, but New Horizons will always have a special place in my heart for all the opportunities and joy it's given me. The community is going to be there through to the next title, whether you want to learn something new or just want to enjoy a coffee at Brewster's.